Hey Matt, so I'm going to check out that video. I'm just going to turn it on and play it and kind of give commentary, and I'll try to do piece by piece, one little thing at a time. Obviously I'm kind of doing this off the cuff, so bear with me.
Flat Earth video called Flat Earth in 5 Minutes by ODD TV makes several spurious and unscientific assertions and arguments that are quite easy to debunk if you know just a little bit of science. So, let's jump right in.
Water, when unmanipulated, is to find its level. So whether you look at a cup of water, a bathtub, a swimming pool, a lake, or the ocean, it's flat. Of course, natural motion is not considered and doesn't equal a curve.
Water finds its level is a very vague and unscientific way to express the physics of liquids. The undeniable fact is that water and all liquids conform to the forces acting on them. Put water in a container of any shape, and it will conform to the shape of the container. Shoot water up at an angle, and it will arc back down in a predictable parabola shape. Put water on a giant sphere with trillions of tons of mass, which results in gravity pulling towards the center, and the water will easily and naturally conform to the shape of the sphere. And what force do they think?
Okay, let me start with my commentary right there. It just says, very easily, water will conform to the shape of a sphere. Well, let's not forget that this sphere is also allegedly spinning 1,000 miles per hour at the equator, and then going over 60,000 miles per hour around the sun, while the sun hurls 500,000 miles an hour through space, right? And water would just very easily conform. Well, did you notice that every example he uses, doesn't matter if it's a cup or a fountain, water is going to find its level. I can make the bottom of this, yeah, he's right, it will conform to whatever it's poured into, but the top finds its level outside of surface tension, from waves or wind. Other than that, like I said, it finds its level. You can make the bottom of this jagged, you can make it wavy. It doesn't matter. Yes, the water will shape on the bottom, but the top always finds its level. So to just say that water would very easily shape itself around a sphere, well, I would love to see a testable example of water doing that, because I've looked everywhere and you can find nothing in reality to where water would stick to a spinning spherical surface. And we have vacuum chambers. I mean, they could test it out in one of their vacuum chambers, get some objects of mass, but they just say it's way too big to test. Ooh, convenient. But let's go on with this.
Think causes water to find its level anyway. Of course, it's gravity. But for some childishly naive reason, they think the direction of gravity's pull must be a universal downward direction, rather than the proven fact that the pull of gravity is relative to the center of mass of the objects involved. On the Earth, and on all other celestial bodies, gravity pulls toward the center, which you can even see for yourself by watching the moons of Jupiter orbit the planet through a telescope.
Oh man, where do I even begin with that? Okay, so the moons of Jupiter spinning apparently prove the theory of gravity. Because it couldn't be that the Earth, since we can detect zero curvature anywhere in anything measurable other than fisheye lenses and NASA space footage and the other space agencies. Because, if everything was flat and stationary, just like we experience and everything shows and tests, water could very easily stay there. And to say that I think gravity is a constant downward force, no, I don't. I understand the theory of gravity, that it's the concept of space-time bending around an object of mass. I've watched entire documentaries, a bunch of them on it, pro-gravity, not just flat Earth against gravity. You can look up that Nikola Tesla quote. I probably should have pulled it up, but he basically said, gravity is heavily based, obviously, on some of Newton's work, but heavily on Einstein's theory of relativity. And you can look at what Tesla said about the theory of relativity. He basically said that it's it's basically amazing mathematical work, and the people who share about it, they're brilliant men, but they're also blind to the horrible errors within it. He basically called it garbage wrapped in a robe, essentially, and he was a pretty brilliant man. Everything we see, whether rising or falling, can be described with buoyancy, density. A balloon is not anti-gravity. A balloon goes up because helium is less dense than the air around it. There are certain woods that float on water and other woods that sink, not because gravity is thrusting one down because the earth is spinning. It's because one wood is more dense. You can make a big steel ship float on water because you use displacement. You spread out that over the surface area and use surface tension to your advantage. The theory of gravity, to just declare it a fact, well, let's see one example of a rotating object of mass that we can demonstrate and test that draws another towards it. Or even better, show a spherical object with water clinging to it. Or even better than that, a spherical object with water clinging to it that allows certain bodies to stay perfectly still like a lake while having other bodies have tides. That's amazing how the moon can allegedly yank up from gravity the tides of the sea, but how come it doesn't yank up lakes to that degree or rivers to that degree? It's just nonsense. It's not a proven fact. It's a complete theory, and we have nothing that can demonstrate it. Yes, it works on paper very well in theoretical physics, but look up any test that demonstrates a spherical object, let alone a spherical object with the amount of speed that the heliocentric model claims that the globe has, and see if you can find anything remotely close that you can test and see if that's real.
Water curves around the Earth due to Earth's gravity, but the amount of curve is just too slight to easily see directly from our vantage point, so it looks flat.
So he says we can't see the curve from our vantage point, so it looks flat. I think that would be a valid argument on a globe model Earth. I think that's perfectly valid. The problem is you got guys like Bill Nye and you got guys like Neil deGrasse Tyson telling us that we see boats go over the curve. It's just nonsense. We have telescopic lenses where we can bring these boats. You can follow them going straight out to sea for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Follow them with the zoom lens, and they never go over the curve that's supposed to be there. They should be disappeared within, 8 miles. And we can prove way beyond 8 miles that they're still flat and level. You can see other boats in the foreground, other boats in the background. It never curves. So to say, yeah, maybe from the beach we couldn't see it, I guess, but we have high altitude footage, we have drones, weather balloons. We get plenty of height to see the curve of the Earth. It's only 8,000 miles in diameter. That's big, but it's not like infinitely big as people seem to imagine. Let's go on with this.
We have 0 authentic pictures of the Earth, and they're all
Okay, so that's that first section. That's all done. So I'm going to leave that and I'll jump on to another one.